Following on from our previous episode of Sailing Nandji, we had motor issues on our shakedown sail and ended up getting towed to Boatworks on the Gold Coast. We were already booked into antifoul and replaced the cutlass bearing, so she was hauled out and we got straight to work, starting on the hull. We made it, we're here at the Boatworks on the Gold Coast. We've had Nandji hauled out and we've had someone come and spray all the barnacles off of her. What we're going to do here is re-antifoul Nandji, as you can see she needs it, and also do the cutlass bearing and get someone out to come and have a look at the motor.
I just have to scoot up the chandlery. We found it's like there's been glass that's been fiberglassed just straight over primer. We never picked it up last time, so it must have been hanging in there, but over time glass didn't got a bond to primer, so it's come away and it started to flake here, so I'll just have to get the grinding disc or sanding disc and see how deep the rabbit hole is. I buffed it all back, I found that edge, and I don't know what they were doing, they just put some fiberglass over it, but I've taken it all off where it was peeling, and now I've just got to make it waterproof, so putting an epoxy.
While Yosh got into the fiberglassing jobs, my dad and I got to scraping and sanding the thousands of barnacle shells off of the hull.
The original reason why we hauled out was to do this cutlass bearing. See how a little bit of play there? That's not good, it's not meant to be any play, that should just be perfect. So as that rotates, a little bit of vibration in it. So I'm going to have to take the prop off and pull the shaft out, but to do that, we're going to take the rudder off. We've cleaned it all back and all the bolts seem to be undoing, so
yeah.
Hope it doesn't weigh heaps. That was day 2 of the hard stand saga. Benita and Alex did a really good job yesterday on the hull. They really got into it and buffed it right back, which is good. Well, I've been operating on this cutlass, which seems to be a never ending. I've chatted to a couple of professionals and I reckon it's a homemade job. Of course it is. So that just adds to the dilemmas, but I'm adopting a new technique this morning of getting the bearing out, and it seems to be working.
What's it called?
Beat the shit out of it.
He's going for 6. Yes.
With the rudder off, it gave me more swinging space. Realising that the tube was not threaded, we adopted a new technique and eventually got the tube and bearing out. Then taking it all to a fitter where they installed the new bearing. That's just made everything so much sweeter. I was pretty nervous about getting put back in the drinking time, but
5 days is looking pretty good, isn't it?
Oh, we got time to spare.
Dad and I masked out the waterline and painted primer in the places that needed it. So it's day 3 of our boatwork saga. All we have left to do is prime the fiberglass jobs that Yosh has done, and then antifoul 2 layers and put the rudder back on, and that's it. So yeah, and also
put new anodes on.
Put new anodes on. We had a mechanic in yesterday to come and look at the motor to see what was wrong with it, and as Yosh has done lots of oil changes and filter changes, he seems to think that it might have just been air in the line. So
yeah, it was me that snapped it.
So we're going to put the boat back in and then test it under load, and then yeah, he's going to come out and have another look at it. So
we got to swap all these over, all these anodes, put these new guys on. So these prevent electrolysis, which basically kills your boat in not very long at all. It'll eat away all your copper fittings. So we're just going to take all these off and replace them.
With the old anodes off, Nandji was now ready for a few coats of antifoul. We used hempel, which is slow releasing, and we managed to get a whopping 5 coats on her out of 2 tins. Hopefully we won't be doing this anytime again soon. With the new cutlass bearing installed, the prop and rudder back on and the antifoul completed, it was now time to treat ourselves to a burger at the on-site restaurant.
Fun bit. Oh, sharp. Whilst waiting for our lift back into the water, we utilised the liverboard facilities on offer. We even found time to flick through some TV channels.
Here comes our lift now to put us back in the drink.
With a good surprise. No need
Here he is.
friends, oh.
It was a nervous time as Nandji returned to water. It was time to test the engine properly and uncover what issues remained unsolved. Everything crossed that the problem would be minor and a simple fix.
Fall straight to the bottom side of God before you call it a prayer.
It's not looking very good. The mechanic seems to think that we've gotten water in the motor up through the exhaust. So that's really bad news. Nandji hasn't made me cry before, but this is kind of really gonna shake up everything. If we need to get a new motor, it looks like we're not going to be sailing anytime soon. So
Having pulled all the injectors and everything off, and we've tried to start to manually crank it from the wheel, and something's catching on it and sees, but you can spin the shaft. So after all that dilemmas of engine, I think it's gearbox.
if it's the engine, it's really going to dramatically change our plans. We're probably not going to sail the Pacific this year, but if it's the gearbox, that's something that we will be able to fix. So fingers crossed that it's the gearbox. We thought it was the gearbox to start with, but the mechanic seemed to think it was the motor at the start, but now he's looking at the gearbox too, so fingers crossed.
Oh,
That's what we want to hear. She lives.
we discovered it was the gearbox that was the problem, and the lads that they've pulled it apart and gone and sussed, and a couple of bearings are just blowing apart in it. So we could sacrifice it, or we could salvage it, but it'll take a lot of cleaning. There's lots of little bits of bearing and that have gone all through it, so I'd have to clean the whole thing and then replace a heap of bearings. Don't really have time. Luckily, they had another gearbox there, which is basically matching the same ratio, 1.8, winning. So we're going to use that instead, and yeah. So I should be able to just bolt that straight in. It's a Perkins gearbox, but she's all in good nick and everything, and so they've serviced it and gone over it. So We should be happy days then. So we've pulled all the old gearbox out, and from that then we have the drive plate where that attaches to the engine. These springs here shouldn't be loose at all. They should be tight. So this is the old one. I've just taken that out. I say just taken that out, it took me like bloody an hour and a half. So taking that out, unbolted it off this wheel, and that's the new one there. I've just bolted that back on. So now that goes back into there, and then the gearbox bolts onto that. Simple. Here she is. Woohoo! The gearbox is on, it's in. Old Bluey looks good. Someone's a little bit excited to be moving.
Dad over there. The best dad in the whole world. I don't know. I just feel so lucky.
Yeah. Pretty happy?
Yeah, this has been so good after my dad helping us.
He's just cruising along on the bank.
He's taking photos. He must just be so proud.
He's following along. What's he doing? Tell us what he's doing, kid.
He's following us along and he's taking photos.